Hold on.
Coach, what were some of the things you liked about the defensive performance on Saturday against Texas State?
Well, I thought we handled adversity well. I think we gave up a score the first drive of the game, actually the first third down, and then we went on and played a heck of a first half, and I thought that showed a little bit about the character of this team, a little bit about the character of our defense, and I like what I saw there.
How would you say the secondary played? Coach Traylor said, it looked maybe a little bit worse than what it actually was once you review the film. Is that kind of what you take away from that?
The film showed some good and bad. We were up in position at times to make some plays, and we didn't. And a couple of times, like a Rashad Wilson makes a play and he scores. So, that's the life of a defensive back. You live on an island at times, one-on-one. And it's more to it than just that guy himself. It's the guys up front that's applying the pressure on the quarterback. And it's also it's a mixture of coverages and disguises. So, I won't say it's the kids' fault all the way. It's a little bit of all of us, starting with myself and changing the coverages enough to give them a chance. But all in all, we felt good about the performance. A lot of them is their first time out, playing as many snaps as they did and playing as hard as they did. We know it's obviously a lot of room for improvement, and we have to improve. And the good thing about our kids have the right mindset, and they want to improve.
Were you as aggressive as you would like to be in terms of passing the rusher or rushing the passer? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think we mixed up a variety of different things. At times we ran rush 3, at times we were 4, and at times we were 5 or more. So we felt like throughout the game, we were able to get pressure on the quarterback quite often. And, sometimes we brought more than others.
All right, Coach, thanks. I'll come back for some more questions later.
Yes, sir.
Coach Greg, you're up.
Coach, did you feel like you had enough of your system installed to be able to be effective and keep Texas State off balance, or were you somewhat limited in that way?
I felt later in this week, probably the first of this week, I felt like I should have taken more into the game. I wish I had a few more calls that I'm used to playing. And we have installed some of those things this week to help us in those situations in the future. So, at the time we looked at it, we felt like we had what the kids could execute at a high level. And, when a situation happens like it did last Saturday, we were able to teach the guys why we have to continue to install, why we have to continue to implement other things for different situations. And the kids, they responded well. And they all understand that, sometimes when you give more on the back end, then we expect more out of our front. And we feel like with Coach Rod Wright has done with our D-line and, those guys up front to where they're playing, that we could put a little bit more pressure on them instead of our secondary at times.
So will there be a noticeable difference this week in terms of what you'll be able to call?
No, I think the game, the score, the situations will dictate some of those things that we'll call. We're going to run our base, and we're going to do that every week, and we're going to try to go from there. And whatever the situation dictates, whether it's a 2-minute type situation or, it's a situation where we're in a 4-minute, we got to get the ball back. We're going to call whatever we feel like we need to help us win the game. So, a lot of times we're going there with one mindset, and the game may be totally opposite. So right now, we feel like we're going to mix everything up as much as we can.
Coach Traylor mentioned that fatigue was kind of a factor in this game. Did you have to play call around that down the stretch, or how did that sort of impact the way the game played out on the defensive end?
I didn't change a thing, and that's probably what I should have done, or rotated more guys. Sometimes when you're in the heat of the moment, you don't realize the conditioning or the stamina that the guys are in at that moment. We do challenge the guys on every play to, play with perfect effort. And if you're not able to do so, then allow your backup to come in the game and give us an opportunity. And that's something that you learn as a new staff. That's something you learn as spending time with your players for the first time. They got to trust us that we understand that they're not showing a weakness or some form of fatigue. It's just, it happens to us all. So the biggest challenge is training harder, doing practice, continuing to condition yourself. And in the meantime, when you're not, and you physically know you're not there, allow the other guy at your position to go in and take a few snaps. You know, we feel like we have adequate backups and guys who can go out there and get the job done.
Do you make the call on those rotations, or do they get to, give some kind of signal when they're gassed and could use a breather?
You know, obviously the head coach makes the final decision, but he trusts me with the defensive side, and I trust the position coach. But we also give the player who knows himself better than anyone else when he's fatigued, and we may not notice it, he has the opportunity to tap out, is what we would call it.
Do you see that challenge being different this week, given that you're indoors and you have a game under your belt? A couple advantages in conditioning.
I think it's no doubt having a game under our belt helps us. It helps the adrenaline. It helps the kid, gain more composure earlier in the game. Of course, the weather outdoors in Texas is extremely hot. And, we get an opportunity to play inside of a dome where it's 72 degrees all year round. So we feel like that's going to be to our advantage and our players' advantage, because that's probably the perfect scenario of playing the game. So we feel like that will help us somewhat throughout this ball game.
We saw on the depth chart this week, Jamal Ligon moved up to a starting role. Can you tell us about that decision and what he brings to the table?
Jamal is a kid who I bragged about a week ago. He's a true freshman who has really stood out since his time on campus. He's a guy who has a tremendous work ethic, and that started from him in high school to him attending our campus and getting with Coach Ryan Follow. He's a kid that's a great finisher. He plays with 100 miles per hour, and he's a kid that pays attention to detail. He's very smart. He's very physical, and we feel like the sky's the limit. It just happened to work out where he's going to be in the starting role a little sooner than expected, but I think he'll be prepared. He's ready.
Okay, JJ, we'll go back to you.
Coach, where did you call the game from on Saturday? Were you on the sidelines?
I was on the sideline until we started struggling a little bit. Now, honestly, I was on the sideline the entire time with the guys. I've always been on the sideline as a coordinator. I love to look the kids in the eyes. I love to see the passion. I get a feel for the game and how the game is going, and I get a chance to challenge the guys face to face. So that's where I spent the majority of my time in my coaching career, and I don't see that changing anytime soon.
This was the first game with your staff all together. How did things go logistically as far as, getting the players in and out and getting all the calls in?
I think it went great. We didn't have any substitution errors. We were close a couple of times, but those things are to be expected with a new team and a new staff. But all in all, I thought the guys who handled the substitution did a great job. I got great information from the box, from the guys that's, speeding that information on what's going on from their point of view. And I think we work well together. I think all of our guys work within the special teams and within the defense as effectively as possible.
Coach Traylor was telling us he said he noticed Texas State was warming up kind of like in a max protect at halftime. I'm just curious, how much input and how much, communication does Coach Traylor have with you about, the actual plays you guys call?
Coach Traylor has embodied an unbelievable amount of trust in me and in our defensive staff. He will come down and make input at certain times when he feels necessary, whether it's for support, whether it's things to think ahead of, that the offense possibly may do in what situations. But all in all, he allows us, myself, and our defensive staff to make majority of the calls, to do the things we feel like is best for our kids to win the game.
Hey, Greg.
Coach, what's your impression of what Charles Wiley brought to the table in the opener?
Well, Charles Wiley's a guy that I had a history with before, and I knew some of the things that he brings to the table, and I thought he was an he was a guy that made an impact, especially in the fourth quarter. He didn't get as many sacks as we would like, but he pressured the quarterback and got a lot of hits on the quarterback. Actually made a big-time play against the run on the goal line. So Charles is everything we thought he potentially would be, and hopefully he'll get better from week to week.
Yeah, you mentioned having some experience with him at Ole Miss. What's your guys' relationship like, or how do you guys get along and communicate?
You know, it's been good. It's been good. You know, the more familiarity you have with people, especially in the heat of battle, it gives you an idea of what to expect. And, you know, Chuck comes from a family that's done a great job of raising him as a young man. And he's had the right things instilled in him. And he plays with that same passion, both on the field and off in the classroom. He's a guy that's already achieved his degree, and he's working on his master's now. And, you know, we expect him to be an impact player for us.
Is that 3-4 outside linebacker position the ideal fit for him, or how do you see his skill set translating to a defense?
You know, for our team, we feel like that's what's best for him and to help our defense be successful. You know, at times we'll move him around and do other things with him, but all in all, you have to have a special skill set. And the guy who actually started the position for us in the game was DQ Henry. So we feel like we have 2 or 3. Solomon Wise is another guy that plays that position. So we feel like we have multiple guys that have a unbelievable skill set. Some attributes are speed, some are strength, some is a little bit of both. So they all bring different things to the table.
It seemed like for Wiley at Ole Miss when they made that move and he got the opportunity to play that linebacker role, that it sort of revitalized him. How did you see him make that transition initially?
Well, I think it's tough for any kid, and I base that upon my experiences doing it, and what the DQ experience and Solo's experience. That, you know, it's a transition that takes time. You don't see the results you would like immediately at times because it's a total different position. But all in all, when we look at the production sheet, we see that guy making an impact in the ball game. So it's been successful for us in game one.
Got it. Thanks, Coach.
Thank you so much.
Anything else for Coach Nix? We'll let him go. All right. Thanks, Coach.
Guys, I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Yes, sir. Look forward to it. Bye-bye.
All right. Coach Lunney has joined us. Who is first with questions? Greg, you are up.
Coach, how you doing today?
Hey, what's up, Greg?
I'm good. I'm curious, when you look back at Texas State, do you feel like you had enough of your system installed to be able to keep them off balance and have the success that you wanted?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah, we had plenty to play the game, man. There's no doubt about that.
How do you think it's going to be different, if at all, this week? You mentioned it's going to continue to evolve. What changes do you think we might see?
You know, I mean, I think you'll see a lot of the same stuff, you know. I mean, you'll see, you know, we kind of are who we are. I mean, we're going to run we're a zone read and a zone running team, an outside zone team. We're going to run gap schemes. We're going to run, you know, we're going to have a sprinkle a little bit in each category. You know, we got to, you know, we got to be more balanced. That's the one thing that's really important to us is we got to be more balanced. You know, the running game was working so well early on in that game that, you know, it was hard to get away from it. In hindsight, you know, I could have done a better job of trying to generate more balance even early in the third quarter when we were still in control of the game. And we just had a couple bad series there from, you know, trying to maybe force the run a little too much that really caused us to stall at critical times. So we got to be more balanced.
Yeah, this kind of ties into the idea of that run-pass balance. But do you feel like it's fair to say the offense had a more conservative approach for whatever
Yeah.
reason? Opener?
Yeah, sure we did. I mean, we certainly didn't intend to go into the game, being overly conservative. But I think anybody that watched the game saw that we jumped out and and we were in control of that game early on as a team. Defensively, special teams, offensively, and so we're playing team-minded football there, and that's a kind of a tough place to be. When you got a 17-point lead, and it's a good place. Don't get me wrong. I'm not complaining about having a lead ever, but it kind of turns in a little bit more catch-22. You got control of the game. You don't want to put the ball in jeopardy. You want to, if you can continue to control the ball with the clock with the ball on the ground, then why wouldn't you? And but it ultimately, we got very predictable in a stretch. We didn't start the game like that by any means, but we got a little bit too predictable, and we got bogged down and we got tired. There was a lot of contributing factors to us being stalled in the second half. And those are just nothing but excuses. And we just got to play better for 4 quarters.
So do you see that conservative approach being typical if you're able to control the game in that way, or would you like to sort of open it up more and throw it down the field regardless?
Well, we've got to put the ball down the field. We've got receivers, I think, that are capable, and quarterbacks that are capable. And, the timing of those is really important, and the execution of them is at a premium. And so, we're just – every game's going to unfold differently. I mean, it just is. That's football. And so, we certainly have a plan in mind, a vision in mind, and we just got to be able to, adjust as the games unfold, however those unfold. And so the bottom line is it's our job to score points and to do that, whether it be run or pass or tricks, whatever it takes to score. We've got to do it. We got to execute our offense.
Did you have to play call or run that offense around some of the fatigue that started to set in late in the game? Did that change your approach?
No, it didn't. Didn't really recognize the fatigue until midway through the third, late in the third, early in the fourth quarter. It started to show. And so we didn't really do anything differently in the second half. We made a few small adjustments that really didn't ever take off, so to speak, in the second half. Thought we had some good thoughts and good plan adjustments at halftime for us to come back to. And we just, needed a first down in the second half was really poor, and that always is hard to overcome, and especially when you have a lead and you don't want to get in a passing fest. You want to let that clock run, and ultimately we won a team game. It took all 3 phases like it always does, and we're proud of the fact that we won the game. It's time to move on and focus on these guys next week and continue to build and develop our identity as an offense.
Do you think that conditioning challenge will be much less this week, just given, well, first of all, that you have a game under your belt and that this one is indoor and the climate is a little more controlled?
Yeah, I think it make a significant difference. I think it was really hot. I mean, it was really hot, and we played really fast early, got a lot of reps in at halftime, played a lot of plays, and yeah, playing yourself into shape is about the only way to get in shape. We've worked hard on conditioning. We try to practice fast. We try to press our guys in practice. But ultimately, the best way to get in shape is to play that game. And so we're looking forward to the old adage of, sometimes you make your biggest improvement between week 1 and week 2. And we certainly stress the importance of us getting better this week. And I'm hopeful that our guys will respond and we'll make a jump forward and we'll take a step forward this week offensively.
Hey, JJ.
Hey, Coach, how would you say things went logistically as far as getting the plays in, getting the signals in, getting all the guys in?
Well, I thought, it certainly wasn't perfect, but, I thought it was overall pretty clean, all things considering. I think we ran around 80 plays, and we had a very limited amount of miscommunications from the sideline to the field. Obviously, the most glaring one was there late in the game where we were so fatigued. I mean, we just so fatigued we couldn't even get off the sideline and to get that play ran there with about a minute to go. And so, but all in all, for our first game, I was proud of our guys. They really executed what we asked them to do at a pretty high level for first game. That's certainly not our standard. We certainly got to get better, but those things, that we talk about that a lot offensively, about just eliminating the things that that really have to do with, the self-inflicted wound of us beating ourselves, and to not beat ourselves. That's how you start, and we did a fairly good job of that. We didn't have any turnovers, and we had a very limited amount of pre-snap penalties offensively. And so, all in all, it was a fairly clean game, but we got to continue to play like that.
I think Coach Traylor mentioned having it 2nd and 5 with a chance to go into victory formation late in the game. How much does Coach Traylor communicate with you guys in that situation, and how much input did he have into what you guys did there late in the game?
Well, yeah, I mean, he does a great job of kind of casting the vision there, even during the game, getting out. Hey, you got 2 downs here. Let's be smart here. Let's be aggressive. Let's put on tempo. He's obviously got a great deal of respect, and he's earned his way to this job through his offensive background, on top of the head coach experience, and so he certainly, has a great feel on how to guide that. But at the end of the day, that was probably the most disappointing thing about the whole game for us offensively, is we made 5 yards on first down in 4-minute offense, and we came back and gave up a TFL and disrupted the whole process there, because we had a chance there. One first down would have won the game, and would have cinched the game. We could have handed the ball with taking a knee and ended the game. And that was without question the most disappointing of the game. But you know what? In hindsight, it worked out really well for us, because we were able to make a play in overtime. And I think that's going to be good for our long-term confidence. And but we've got to, the opportunities we get to end the game with the ball in our hand and not turn it back over to the defense via special teams, we've got to be able to do that. And that was disappointing, but I'm confident we'll bounce back, and hopefully that we'll get an opportunity to do that again, and we can take advantage of it if we do.
Talking about the tempo of the game, how would you say that went? Would you like to go faster, slower? What are some of your thoughts on game 1?
Yeah, we want to go faster. There was times early in that first half, or not times, really the first half, I thought our tempo was really good. I mean, we were interjecting some really kind of super fast, plays, and then we were rolling pretty good, and part of playing fast is you got to be efficient on first down. You got to get the play started. You got to get the series started. And so, yeah, we would like to play faster. And I've already mentioned this, obviously, on the call here, but just, we wore out. It kind of, it didn't wear out. I thought we wore out Texas State in the first half, but in the second half, we were the ones that wore out. And it was predictable. I mean, what didn't take us by surprise, we knew that game shape is a little bit different than practice shape. So hopefully with the controlled environment, the good environment weather-wise, and us being in a little bit better shape from week 1, we can pour on more steam and get going and play faster.
This is the first time we've got to talk to you since, we found out Frank Harris was the starter at quarterback. What were just some of the things that led to that decision, and then just some overall thoughts on how he played in the first game?
Probably just it was mostly a result of the things that you saw in the game on Saturday. I mean, just he did a really good job during our scrimmages of, taking care of the ball and using his legs, to create positive plays that showed up Saturday. Frank's a really good leader. He's got the respect of his team, and I think all of our quarterbacks have the respect of their teammates. I know they do. It's not just Frank in that room. It made it a very tough decision. It really did. I mean, we had 4 guys that have all started games before at this level that all have talent. Their abilities are all unique. That was made some of it challenging, is we tried to be very fair and to all 4 of those guys and give them the ample opportunity to show us who they were and who they are. We felt like we did that. And then we felt like, that just based on who we are, where we're going, what our team's being built around right now, that Frank gave us the best chance to win, and that he had earned the job. He had earned to kind of, so to speak, maintain the job. And, and we knew that several weeks ago. I mean, that's the way we've been working for several weeks now. And we just felt like it was, foolish for us to reveal that too early based on, first game circumstances.
My last question for you, Barry, is the use of the tight ends in your offense. Is that something we could expect to see? It seemed like there was a lot of 12 personnel in the first game. Just kind of talk about, you know, that group and what you like
Yeah.
about them.
Yeah, we like our tight ends. I think Leroy and Gavin and Oscar, those three in particular, have proven that they're very trustworthy. I think they're all good football players, got good skill sets. And, we're going to continue to use those guys. One of the things, they did a great job in the run game. I think, we've talked at length about Leroy, but Gavin and Oscar both helped play in the run game and did a good job for us. And all three of those guys are capable in the passing game. That's one area that's got to show up more for us to be effective, is we got to use those guys in the passing game. We're going to continue to use 12. We're going to be an 11 and 12 base team. We got some other packages that that we work on and we'll dabble in, but for the most part, our foundation will be 11 and 12. And we feel like those are interchangeable. And we used, we were in 12 personnel last week and lined up in, 4 wide sets a couple of times. And those guys they've learned the offense. And when they learn the offense, all the parts are interchangeable like most offenses are. And so we'll continue to use a mix and match of personnel.
Along those lines, is that important for that tempo component when you can play like the same personnel group but necessarily give different looks? Does that help keep the tempo going? Is that an important thing?
Yeah, sure it does. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you can get your tight ends to learn where they fit in the spread sets, on our tempo plays, then you really can't do it the other way around. You can't have the wideouts learn where to go as a tight end based formation. So you reverse engineer that. And if you can get a couple tight ends that can be on the field and line up in those tempo formations and execute the calls, man, it's an advantage for us. And so far those guys have been able to do that.
And when you have that look, obviously the tight ends are very well equipped for the downfield blocking component. And that's something you guys have talked about a lot, or at least we saw a lot of that in the opening game. How much do you work with them on downfield blocking and making sure that that's something that they're bringing to the table when they're not running a route or catching a pass?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's all of our guys, any of our receivers or tight ends, the perimeter blocking, Coach Stein and Kurt Traylor have done a great job of just setting the culture out there, because running the football is not just about, as we all know, it's not just about the linemen and the tight ends and the running back. It takes everybody. It's the quarterback, it's the wideouts. And I can't tell you how proud I was of our receivers and our whole offensive unit, but in particular the receivers, just the way that they perimeter blocked. It wasn't perfect, but man, they were straining and trying to lock guys up down the field and fighting and scratching and clawing. And it was a really fun thing to watch on film. And if we'll continue to play like that, then it'll give us the chance to pop some runs against people every now and then. And so it's not just the tight ends, it's perimeter blocking in general. And that could be a wide receiver on a corner. It could be a wide out on a linebacker that's scraping on the second level. But perimeter and blocking in general is just paramount to be able to run the football. We coach it hard, and our coaches do a great job of emphasizing it, and our players are really responding and doing a great job of that. Again, I'm not saying that we're perfect or we're dominating or what, but I'm just telling you, our guys just get after it and they give you everything they've got. And if they continue to do that, then that'll really make a difference in the run game.
And with Frank Harris, obviously he brings a pretty dynamic ability to run the ball, but how do you sort of strike the balance between using that threat and making defenses stay honest to that versus keeping him healthy and making sure he doesn't take too many hits? What's like the ideal amount of carries in the game?
I don't know. I mean, I don't want him carrying the ball 20 times a game. I don't even know how many he had the other day, to be honest with you. How many did he have? Do y'all know?
Off the top of my head, I don't.
I think
like eight or 10.
8, I think.
Maybe. Yeah. That's about a good number. 8 or 10. 10 or less is kind of the target that in my mind that we had kind of set forward. We don't want it to be any more than that. And so, the first thing is we want our quarterback we want a leader, a decision maker, and a guy that can deliver the ball accurately. And he really did a good job of doing that the other day. So it's going to be important for us to continue to build the throwing game around him, to continue to enhance our play action game, our drop back game, our screen game, our quick game, all those things that are complementary to a run game. We've got to continue to progress in those areas. Our wide receivers really rose to the occasion and made plays when plays were presented to them. They were very patient. They let the game come to them. And so it's just continuing to get better at throwing and catching and protecting and doing those things on choice down to where, we can be, certainly, to where we can be balanced, the aforementioned balance that we'd already talked about.
And then how about with the running backs? How would you like to see the split of carries between Sincere McCormick and Brendan Brady? Does that need to be closer to 50-50, or how could you see
I
it
don't
playing?
know about 50-50, but I'll tell you this. I know this. I know Coach Griffin and Coach Traylor and myself, and we all feel this way, is that, we feel like we've got a really nice 1-2 punch there that, we call any play in our system, run, pass, screen, protection with either one of them, and it not even matter who's in the game. And that's how strongly we feel about those two guys. And they both have earned that, that respect. And earn the right to play no matter what the down and distance, no matter what the situation, no matter what the score. And I think you'll see more balance created as we move forward here. It kind of got skewed a little bit, probably more than what we'd like to, but Brendan certainly he brings a lot to the table, and you saw those things show up Saturday, and he needs more opportunities, and I think we'll continue to iron that balance out as we get going.
Got it. Thank you, Coach.
All right, guys.
All right. Thanks, Coach Lunney. Appreciate it.
Thanks,
Hey,
Barry.
everybody. Good to see you guys. JJ, Greg, we'll see you guys.
Likewise. Talk
All
soon.
right.